In this lesson video, we will learn to solve exponential equations which are comparable to quadratic equation. That means if we replace the exponent term of these equations with a new pronumeral, then these equations will give quadratic equation. In this section, we will solve exponential equations which are comparable to quadratic relations or quadratic equation. So in this first slide, we will see exponential equation that can be solved using difference of square formula. So difference of square formula is a square minus b square equals a plus b times a minus b. So this difference of square formula can be used to solve these forms of exponential equation. Let us do this two example that will make us our concept clear. Here 3 to the power twice x minus 9 equals 0. So now we can, this 2x power is very crucial. We can write it like 3 to the power x square, because we know power on power will multiply. So this x and 2 multiplication will give us power twice x. Minus 9 can be written as 3 square equals 0. So if we consider this 3 to the power x as a and this 3 as b, then it is a square minus b square. So we can write it as, this is a square minus b square. So we can write, using difference of square formula, we can write it a plus b and a minus b. Therefore 3 to the power x plus 3 times 3 to the power x minus 3 equals 0. So these two factors, their multiplication is 0. That means 3 to the power x plus 3 equals 0, or 3 to the power x minus 3 equals 0. Here 3 to the power x equals minus 3. So minus 3, here the base is, one base is positive 3, one base is negative 3. So we can't represent this base in terms of this. So from here we will not get any solution, because here the base minus 3 base, we can't represent it in terms of plus 3 base. So we will not get any solution from this factor. Here 3 to the power x minus 3 equals 0. So if we take this minus 3 on the other side, it will become plus 3. So it will become 3. So 3 to the power 1 actually. So 3 to the power x equals 3 to the power 1. Base is same. So x and x are equal. These two powers are equal. That means x equals 1. So we used difference of square formula to solve this exponential equation. But actually these forms of equation, we don't need to use this, but for just illustration purpose, that how we can use difference of square formula to solve these kinds of exponential equation. But this one got actually pretty simple solution. 3 to the power x, alternative approach can be 3 to the x equals 9. We can, if we can take this 9 on the other side. So 3 to the power twice x equals 9. 9 means 3 square. So twice x equals, base are same, so twice x equals 2. Therefore x equals 1. So these kinds of equation, this is the more suitable and easier way to solve. But we illustrated that this kinds of equation can also be solved using quadratic difference of square formula, because although this problem can be easily solved using this approach, but there will be different problems where this difference of square formula and or other quadratic equation solving method will be very useful. So let us do another example here. 5 to the power twice x minus 125, that also can be written as 5x square minus 125. 125 can be written as 5 times 5 times 5. So it can't be written as actually as a perfect square number, but we can take 5 root 5 square, because 5 root 5, because from this to 5 we are getting 1 5. So 5 square means 5 times 5, and root 5 square will give 5, and 125 is 5 times 5 times 5. That means 125 can be written as 5 root 5 square. So 5 root 5 square equals 0. So here 5 to the power x is a, 5 root 5 is b, so a square minus b square. Using difference of square formula, we can write 5 to the power x plus 5 root 5 times 5 to the power x minus 5 root 5 equals 0, or this factor is 0 or this factor is 0. Therefore 5 to the power x plus 5 root 5 equals 0, or 5 to the power x minus 5 root 5 is 0. From here 5 to the power x equals minus 5 root 5. A positive basis root power will always be positive, so it will never give a negative number. So these factors will not give any solution. Here 5 to the power x equals 5 root 5. We can write it 5 to the power x equals 5 times 5 to the power half. We know root 1 is half. Therefore 5 to the power x equals 5 to the power, here power is 1, so 1 plus half. We can write it 5 to the power 1 plus half. Calculation will give 3 by 2. So therefore 5 to the power x equals 5 to the power 3 by 2. So x will be, this power and power will be same, so x will be 3 division 2. So that problem, here we used difference of square formula, but this problem can easily be solved in another way. 5 to the power twice x equals, if we take this 125 on the other side, 125, or 5 to the power twice x equals, 125 can be written as multiple of 3, 5, that means 5 to the power 3. So 5 to the power twice x equals 5 to the power 3. We can write twice x equals 3, therefore x equals 3 by 2. So for these kinds of simple equations, using quadratic formula or difference of square formula is complex, so a direct solution is easier. But we learned this method because there will be some example we will see in this section later on, where solving this quadratic equation by comparing them to the quadratic equation, that is solving this exponential equation by comparing them as the quadratic equation, will give us proper solution.